This is Straight Talk with Atlanta native Greg Fann, the preacher man, and his sidekick Shanan Jones. Frank discussions of issues affecting the ATL, Fulton County, the state of Georgia, the nation, and around the world. And now, here they are, live and in living color, the team of Jones and Fann, the preacher man.
Well, welcome again to Straight Talk with yours truly, Greg Fann, the preacher man, Shanan E. Jones. And for those of you who watch and view Straight Talk, and you're out there and you're telling me and Shanan everywhere we go and we see you, you tell us how much you like it, and you're talking up Straight Talk, and that's what it's all about. Talk up Straight Talk. Like us. That's what you do. Like us, subscribe to us, make comment, and continue to share. Well, we're getting ready for that Advent season. We're getting ready for the holiday season as we celebrate the birth of Christ, right? And we call it Christmas. Christmas meaning Christ, representing Christ. Now, Shanan has something that he wants to invite you, and especially you too, on the 16th of this month.
All right. Thank you, Bishop. On the 16th of December, we're calling on churches, for pastors and church leaders and members of congregations to have a metro area sleep out on your church grounds. As you know, the city of Atlanta, the metro area, is one of the most expensive places in the country, if not the world, to live. And many Atlantans and those in the metro area are finding themselves in the margins economically and for rent and for housing. It is extremely expensive. The wages and the price of rent and mortgages do not always gel. And so we're asking for all of our faith leaders to lead your congregations for a night on the church ground under the protection of your leadership and your security teams, to have a night where we remember Jesus and the Holy Family, where there was no room in the inn. Jesus born in a homeless or an unhoused situation. The question that we're asking, as we're seeing a crisis of affordable housing, is there any room in the inn for Jesus even today? Would he be able to afford to live? Would the Holy Family be able to rent an apartment in the metropolitan area? Is there still no room in the inn? And so we want to have a night where we come together and we remember those, and we raise the level of consciousness to the fact that there are many people that are living in cars, families that are living in cars, that are living in tents, and living on friends' couches and finding a way to live the best way that they can. But they're unhoused and they're struggling. And in this season, this Yuletide season of Christmas, as we remember the Holy Family, we remember those who are struggling. And it's not to point fingers at anyone as I close on this, but it's really to heighten the awareness of this crisis, and to get people to come together, to put our heads and our hearts and our hands together to deal with the issue of affordable housing. As president of Concerned Black Clergy, this is the paramount issue that we deal with. And far too many families come to CBC just to wash up in the bathrooms as they're living in their cars, moving their cars around, trying not to get a tow truck to take it because they're behind in their bills, and a finance company is not only coming to repossess a car, but really repossessing everything that family owns. So December the 16th, beginning at 5 o'clock, we are going to have the metro area sleep out. It's not a camp out. We're not roasting marshmallows, but we're really embracing the vulnerability of these families and these individuals. Are we safe in this tent? How long will we be in this place? We're really driving attention to that. And so we will be at the various locations. So your church can participate. Just say, we're going to participate. We're going to do that on our church grounds on Saturday, December the 16th. We do it from night until daylight to think about and pray for those families, and to help our children to understand the crisis that is among us, and the joy and the grace that they should have to know that they have a place to lay their heads. Not all children have that in the metropolitan area. December 16th, the metro area sleep out by concerned Black clergy and participating organizations such as South Florida Ministerial Alliance Faith Strategies Group, Black Push, Labor, and several others that are coming to participate with us. Thank you.
We would ask that, honestly, if you're going to participate, if your church is going to participate, maybe you don't live in Atlanta, maybe you in some other area, and you're having the same problem with homelessness and people can't afford a place to stay, and you want to participate. Do us a favor. Call this number. Shannon's going to give it to you. Call this number and say, we will be participating and on our church ground, and we'll set up tents for people to come and spend the night in tents to show solidarity as we're helping people who are homeless, people who are sleeping in tents for real, not just a night, but that's their home. A tent has now become their place of residency. So, Shannon, you want to give them the number they can call and let them know that, hey, I will be participating. My church will be participating. I will be participating. I want to be a part of this effort of solidarity.
Please contact me directly at 678-933-5091. Again, directly, the Reverend Shanan Jones at 678-933-5091. You may also send an email to IIPRglobal at gmail.com. One more time, that's IIPRglobal@gmail.com.
All right, we're going to get ready to go on the other side, and we'll be back with more and more information and how you can be a part of the efforts that we are embarking upon in terms of clergy, because we believe in standing, like Jesus said, for the least, the less, the lost, and the left out. We'll see you on the other side.
Hello, this is Pastor Reverend Garman at Word of Faith Love Center in East Point, Georgia, and I watch Straight Talk with Pastor Fann, the preacher man.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I tell you, and you too can be like them. You can watch Straight Talk and tell your neighbor, tell your friend about Straight Talk. Well, Shannon, we're going to have some Straight Talk conversation now. Boy, you know, it's really getting crazy now. We see that people are being sued for, saying that Donald Trump has been elected in Nevada. They're being sued because they falsified. But and then Georgia, and then I think it was Colorado. Those electors who said that they were going to say that Trump actually won the election to be a part of the big lie. Now, we see in Colorado, they got off pretty good. They didn't get off on a criminal charge. They just got off and because it was a lawsuit, and they got off and they said, well, what you can do is, did you know you were falsifying? They said, yes, we did. And Joe Biden actually won the election. Okay, so you are part of the big lie. So now this is what we're going to do. Give you a slap on the wrist. Since you said that, you just, like Jesus said, go and what? Sin no more. So you can't be a part of it anymore. Okay, that's what it, give a little slap on the wrist, right? All right. But Chesborough is telling it everywhere in every state that he was a part of doing it and helping orchestrate this. He's going there and they're calling him on the witness stand, and he's saying the same thing he said here in Georgia, right? Because he was the conductor of it. He was the one that helped implemented it, going from state to state. So he knows who was a part of it, who's guilty of it. And so people are turning over and saying, yes, I did do it. Yes, I am a part of it. So now, with that being said, I don't understand why people are still buying into the fact that Donald Trump did not win the election. Why are people so hell-bent, and I'm going to use the word hell-bent, on sticking to that lie? What is it? Now, you got McCartney, and we're going to talk about that. McCartney said, I'm done. I'm out. 17 years, I'm out. I'm walking away from this foolishness. I'm just not going to be a part of it anymore. Now, your reason for believing that he is stepping down may be different than mine. I believe that he's stepping down because he knows he's done in the party. He's toast, and he cannot win it again, and he won't get support from his colleagues if he does come back. So he'd be ineffective. He can't get nothing, no bill passed, no respect. All that's gone for him. So I believe he just said, "Well, I'm done. I'm out. I've done what I could do. Now I'm leaving." But his legacy is going to be really a man who took 17 votes to get the job, and then a man who was ousted out of the job by the same people who voted to put him in the job.
Well, you said a lot around that, but I'm just going to grab the tail end of what you said because you covered what you covered, and that was good. McCarthy is leaving. That he's not going to run again, and he's leaving Congress at the end of the year. McCarthy reminds me, what biblical character does he Judas. He reminds me of Judas because he sold his soul for about 30 pieces of silver. And then he's going now to hang himself. And that's pretty much what it is. Those that he sold his soul to, those coattails weren't strong enough to hold him. President is an unforgiving person. The former president is an unforgiving person. And so you could say something about Donald Trump one time and praise him 999 times. And he won't forget the one time that you did it. And the 999 don't even matter because there's no grace with him. He's like the law in the Bible. You break one, you're guilty of them all. And so McCarthy and them sold their soul into this, thinking that we're a part of this movement. But there's a movement of one in Donald Trump's mind, and that is Donald Trump. And so I'm not going to help you. I'm not going to support you. I'm not going to weigh in on you. You support me all the time, but I do nothing for you. And you have to love me because I give you nothing. And that's what it is. So he sold his soul. And the 30 pieces of silver didn't keep him in the speaker's chair. And now he's on his way to do as Judas did, to hang himself. Not literally, but politically. He's done. He's finished.
He's toast. He's toast. He's toast. But to your point that you made about Donald Trump.
But I pray not literally. Like I pray like we don't. Yeah, I hope we don't pop up on the news and say that man. But I know that he's in a severe funk and depression because to be at the top and to find yourself with a shovel at the bottom is rough. Got to be.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But isn't it said that everything go up must come down? So you have to be careful who you step on going up. But you got to come down.
It's good. It's one thing to go up on the elevator and come down slowly, periodically stopping. It's one other thing to go up. Six Flags used to have this ride called the free fall, Bishop, where they take you up and just drop you. And and he going up, but his up just dropped down. He just dropped down.
Well, I can tell you this. The point that you made was a good point about Donald Trump. We haven't seen Donald Trump support anybody who has been loyal to him. Not one person has he supported. The only somebody that he really did something for was Roger Stone. He pardoned him, right? He pardoned Roger Stone, right? That's the only one that we see that he has supported. Now, I don't know what his support of Bannon was. I don't know, because Bannon, they prosecuted him for, not wanting to testify and what have you. But I don't know what his support of Bannon was. But I know the only one that I can be sure that he supported was Roger Stone.
Yeah.
But everybody else.
Roger Stone is the absolute architect of the political Donald Trump, not the businessman, but the politician Donald Trump. That's Roger Stone. Even before Bannon and all them brought him into this system and said, for the next 50 years, It's Roger Stone, who's been his long-time political advisor and fixer. And so it's interesting that he would pardon him, though he didn't bring him into his administration. Interesting.
Well, Stone may have didn't want to come. He may have felt better on the outside, being an outsider, understanding of when you get into politics and get into those positions, then you're under public scrutiny. He could do what he was doing without having to be under public scrutiny, right? But then he came under public scrutiny because of his relationship with Donald Trump, right? It wasn't because he was out there as a cabinet member or some political position that he did not have to face public scrutiny. But excuse me, but Stone is the only one that I know that he has been loyal to. I mean, other than his kids perhaps, but just people who have supported him, his attorneys, all of them, just throw him on the bus. You got John Eastman crying now, as we said last week, about his wife's retirement, that he don't want to blow his wife's retirement based on the fact that he's got all these legal fees, but where's Trump trying to help him with his legal fees? We got Rudy Giuliani, who's gone silent, absent. Nobody hears about Rudy at all saying anything. I know he has a little podcast. He has a podcast, and I don't see that getting any life in terms of the podcast or anybody talking about that. But those people who were a part of helping him to maneuver this big lie, he's not supporting financially, right? So I mean, and then let's not forget poor Michael Cohen. And Michael tried to tell them, all of them, he said, "This man, I've been his lawyer all these years, and then when it was time for him to stand up for me, what did he do? He dropped me like a hot potato and then started calling me a liar." But we know as ministers, the Bible said that all liars will have their part in the lake of fire. I mean, liars are going to have a day of reckoning. So, what does it profit a man to gain this whole world but lose what's the most important thing, his soul? So we stand on that. That's why we stand up for the least, the less.
That's what I keep hearing. That's what I keep hearing as you're talking. I just keep hearing, what does it profit a man?
Yeah, what does it profit a man? Because the reality of what we are seeing today is man trying to control and take power over other men and women, boys and girls, and trying to dictate how people will live, how people will be governed, and taking man's liberty away from them. See, we here in the country, we have liberty, we have freedom, right? We say we have freedom, right? So now they're looking to take man's freedom away. And you saw the thing when they asked Donald Trump, are you going to be a dictator? He said, I'm going to dictate the first day I'm there. I'm going to dictate to do this. But see, what they missed was, he said the first day I come, I'm going to dictate on this, that. He said that I'm going to be a dictator. That's what he's saying. If he's saying he's going to do it on the first day, you think that he's going to be a dictator one time? On the first day he take office, he's going to be a dictator, period. He's already saying that he don't care about the law. He doesn't care about the Constitution. He doesn't care about people. He just don't care. He wants what he wants, and he wants it the way he wants it, when he wants it, and how he wants it. And he doesn't care about anybody else but himself.
I mean, that's what he said. He said one day, in other words, he's got a bunch of folks in his crosshairs. And Chris Cuomo dealt with that during the what I call the Polycom primetime Polycom last night, which was political comedy that they call a debate, but it's no different than any other sitcom, situational comedy primetime. Four or five, how many of it was? I think it was four people on the stage. Yeah. Maybe one has a shot at the presidency, Nikki Haley, because the big donors are getting behind him. But Chris Christie kept saying that this man is talking about retribution, and it's not for America. It's not George Bush standing up with a bullhorn and saying, "I hear you," and they hear you, and the whole world's gonna hear us all soon. in other words. But it's a personal political checklist of those that he has in his house towards here, such as folks, such as all of the district attorneys, district attorney here and district attorney Vance in New York, Van in New York, Al Van and Smith in DC, Arnie, I said that, and all of the judges and everyone that's where he's going in.
But don't forget the media. Hey Shannon, don't forget the media, because he said he's going to go at them too.
And the purveyors of fake news.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
He's going to come in and get. That's what he's focused on, not the economy, not making life better for toothless white people that are voting for him, and some, not any of that. No, not the folks that are hoping that he's concerned about securing their values and all that. This is personal. And these next 4 years are going to be, if he's elected, are going to be extremely personal. And the one group that won't matter to Donald Trump at all will be the group called the United States of America. He won't be concerned about that. This is going to be about Donald Trump. And
his
so
company,
we're in
his company, his business, and he run it his way. His company, his business,
I had a friend
and he
that called
runs
me
it his
today.
way.
I had a friend that called me today who's an educator up in the Northeast, and he said, "Man, he's a graduate level educator, and he said he's concerned that he said with this Trump thing, man. He said, man, I'm just really I'm perplexed about him in this New York trial. Like there's no criminal aspect to it. There's nothing like, out of all the stuff facing him, why is this New York trial the one that he's honed in on, he's focused on, that he's attending and giving a blow by blow every day? But because that handles his money, it handles the legacy of the Trump brand.
It does.
And if that goes away, then not him losing the presidency and all that, if that goes away, then he's finished. Because in his mind, that is the Trump organization is the nucleus that he's the real president of. Not the president of the United States, but the Trump organization. And he fights harder for that than he does for the presidency of this country, for any party affiliation, anything else. It's the legacy of that. So all the other stuff, get in line. But this one case in New York, he's going to be there every day dealing with it, because at that point, they're trying to take the oxygen away from him, in his mind.
Well,
okay? I'm just in his mind.
I agree with you. I agree with you. But that's his money. His money.
And legacy.
And legacy. Because if you take his money away from him, he has no real power. If you bankrupt him, he's done. He's done. He can't buy influence with this person, or buy influence with that person, because you and I both know that long as you, and I use this the analogy of the prodigal son, as long as the prodigal son had the money that his daddy had given him, as long as he had that money, he had friends. As long as he could show him good times and have an apartment and all those things, he had friends. But when he got broke, his friends left him. There were no friends. He had no friends because he had nothing to offer them, nothing to give them. And so he had to end up going to take a job at a slopping hog. I use that analogy in terms of him. If he loses his money, he loses his friend, he loses his influence. That's why another reason, in conjunction with what you're saying in terms of his legacy, because his money is his legacy. His legacy.
That's a great analogy. Here's the question. Folks are wondering what would end Trump. To your point, let me ask you this. Do you think that if they took his money, do you think that would stop the people from supporting it? Because it seems like nothing is stopping his supporters. Like they hell bent and putting him back up. So if they take all his money and he's broke, Donald Trump, are they still not going to put him back in office, pay all his legal bills, and do all of that? That becomes really the question. And I can answer it and say that I don't think so.
But see, you don't think so. I believe so. I believe, honestly, some of these people that are supporting him, some of the people that support him, they're at these rallies because they're being paid to be there. I mean, come on now. I mean, some of these people are being paid to show up, but to be at the rallies, just like people get paid to the canvas, people get paid to to hold signs, people get paid to do that. They're doing it because they're getting paid. But you cut out the money, you won't see them out there holding signs, you won't see them canvassing. You don't see that. There used to be a spirit where people would volunteer to do those kinds of things.
You don't think they're any Trump? You don't think they're no true? You don't think that the bulk of his people are true believers?
I believe the bulk of his people are being paid to do the things that they do. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Well, I tell you what. Wait a minute. I tell you what.
I would be just as crazy whether you pay her or not.
But Margaret Taylor Greene will only be loyal to him as long as he has power and influence. They help her to have power and influence. Come on, Shannon.
They want him to help them empower them because they're saying the country's moving away from empowering them.
Right, they're saying that, but if he ain't got the power to help power them to have the influence, that he ain't loyal to them, that he won't be loyal to them, and some of the things they think he's gonna do for him, he ain't gonna do for them. When they see what he is, he has no money, he has no influence. Why do I want to be bothered with him? I mean, why am I going to stick with a man that done put everybody in jail who has associated himself with him, done put him in jail, done caused McCartney to lose his seat, to have to leave, tried to kill Mike Pence, wanted to have Mike Pence killed because he wouldn't go along with a big lie. I mean, come on. Some people are blinded by money, and they say, "Oh, he ain't doing it to me." I'm telling you from my union experience, from my labor experience, people will say, "I don't have to join the union because they ain't bothering me. They bothering them over there." And then then they start bothering them. The first thing they say, "Hey, I need to join the union. I need to be a part of the union." Well, but you don't want to be a part because they wasn't bothering you, but they were coming after you. They came after me. They got me, then they coming after you next, and then they coming. So I mean, come on, that's just the way it is. And if he don't have that money, and that's why he's sitting there. If he loses that money, if he loses the ability to do business, if he loses all those things, Shannon, I'm telling you, you will see people to walk away because you already got people betraying him now, and he still got some money. So I'm just telling you, there are some people who are on the fence. Only because of the money. Only because of the money. Because they're getting paid. Let them stop getting paid. And let them stop being in a position where he can be able to help them. They won't be studying. Get sick and stay sick so long and find out how many real friends you have. That's real talk. That's straight talk and that's real talk. But I want to talk a little bit about the debate, the four that was on the stage. Well, the three that was on the stage. The other guy, the other guy. I mean, I want to talk about the debate. One thing that I do admire about Chris Christie is that he's not afraid to say what needs to be said when it needs to be said. Because last night he scored a point when he stood up for Nikki Haley. He scored points, and let me tell you what I see that. In terms of long term, I see that is if Nikki Haley some miraculous way come out with the nomination and become the candidate or the choice for the Republicans to run for president, I can see her making Chris Christie her vice presidential choice because she's going to need a strong man, and he has proven that he has her back. Regardless of them running together this time, what have you, he has defended her, and that's what I see. That's an option for him. That if Nikki gets it, he can be her running mate. So that's what I said. Do what now?
I agree with you. Okay. I think that's why he did it, but I think that's going to be a problem. That's not going to help her in the South. So I
Well,
think that that might be good, but she might be looking at a DeSantis if she's if she becomes the nominee, she might be looking at a DeSantis who will play better in the North than Chris Christie will play in the South.
well, that's yet to be seen. That's yet to be seen. Because I don't know if people in the South that crazy about DeSantis. Because look at his numbers and what he's doing in the South. He should be polling more in the South more than Nikki.
Well, none
Really?
of them are polling great. I mean, Nikki, when they did the announcement about the Koch brothers money, she began to shoot up. But that's like stock market stuff, right? It's like the markets, respond
Up
to
and
all
down,
this
up and
stuff.
down.
But
But
when
but
you,
but but
but
but
when you
people
look
don't.
at what
But
Chris
people don't.
Christie
No, but
said,
people don't like people don't the people that don't like him because they see him as being a phony and plastic because he's
that's
not
fine. I
genuine.
understand. No,
Yeah.
I get all that,
Okay.
but I get all that. But phony and plastic, and speaking to the type of values that Southern Republicans embrace and espouse, and the kind of, because they equally distrust this northeastern governor that Vivek talked about. Him leaving all those, closing down that bridge gate situation, which was terrible for him. Up until that point, Chris Christie was seen as kind of a straight shooter. But in the South, and if you don't win the South for the Republican Party, you ain't gonna, you're not gonna do it. So, which one responds better to a demographic of people who don't believe that Donald Trump lost the election? Because the Republican Party is now saying, okay, this election, it wasn't stolen, right? That becomes the party line. But that's the Republican Party moving into the more establishment. There's a breakout section of the Republican Party that did McCarthy and that'll do Johnson if he doesn't do what they want him to do, and that's hell-bent putting Donald Trump back in office. And they certainly not going to support someone that stands on a stage and speaks about Donald Trump the way that he speaks about him. Not in the South. That's why I think none of them took his bait last night on offing Trump, because you can't, it ain't that they love Trump, but they need his voters.
Well, needing his voters, needing his base, all of that, yeah, could be, could not be. It doesn't mean that a perceived base don't have to be a real base. Perceived. I wouldn't say that he doesn't have a base in the South. What I'm saying is there are certain factions that's in that base, not really a part of that base. They gonna go the way the money go. If the money going this way, I'm going that way. Money going this way, I'm going that way. What does the Bible say? Money is the root of all evil, right? So what do people do? They follow what? The money. So if Trump does not have the money to help, and the money start drying up, his base, and I don't care, his base is going to dry up too. Now, if Nikki got the money, and if Chris Christie is her choice, and they can spread the money in the South with the Southern Belle, a lot of those people, I know you guys are hard line ones, you guys are hard lines, like you guys are hard line Republicans, you got hard line independents, you guys are hard line Tea Party people, you guys are hard line folks. But when you look at the percentage of the hard line folks, and I listen to Morning Joe's show a lot, and I listen to what's being said, Morning Joe feels that the conservatives, the true conservatives of the Republican Party, they're going to break loose. And they're going to support the conservative agenda their agenda. They're not even buying into the autocracy. They're not buying into the plan of the 2025 plan, not wholeheartedly, because they don't believe in doing away with democracy. But there are some aspect of it that they do buy into. So it's a divided party. Let's just be clear, they're divided now. And the Bible teaches us a house divided amongst itself cannot what? Stand. I know I'm preaching tonight, but it's the word. It said, if a house divided, it cannot what? Stand. And they're too divided. Their division is too divided. Now, what they're trying to do is put a wedge in the Democratic Party by saying, and I'm listening to this come out really more and more and more. We got Democrats who are now saying that Biden shouldn't be running. He's too old. You got Democrats saying that. Well, that's a message that they're putting out there to divide people, to get people to start thinking, well, okay, maybe Biden is too old. Maybe Biden shouldn't run. Maybe we should find someone else. I mean, but I'm just saying this, but that's the message that they'll start digging in on. Now they're looking at who can whoop Biden. If Trump loses, cannot run, which one of these Republican people can whoop Biden in the future? Well, we have to look at it as American. And that's our time, neither Democrat or Republican. Well, we got to look at who is going to be talking about issues that's going to serve our interests and protect the liberties and the freedom that we have enjoyed all of these years, and that we want our kids and our grandkids to continue to enjoy. Understanding that this experience has been not the best experience, but it's an experience that we are used to, and we're certainly not used to having someone who totally controls our very actions, our very deed, and what we can have and what we can't have, and what we can do and what we can't do. One individual. No, we're not ready for that. We ain't ready for that. If you talking about mass chaos and stuff, we'll be like a third world country, and then we'll be overtaken. Like the Bible said, we will be overtaken. Huh?
Where is it written that America cannot become that?
It's not written. It's not written.
So people keep saying, well, we lose democracy. Where's it written that democracy can't erode and go away? Where's it written that America can't receive a strong man like Russia has a strong man, like Israel has a strong man, like China has a strong man? Where is it written that can't happen? I mean, I know what the Constitution says, but this democracy has always been an experiment.
Well, the reality of it is that's the experiment we're used to.
Not that I'm embracing it. Not that I'm embracing it, but
it sounds like you're embracing it over there.
No. Actually,
but asking the question, where is it written? Where is it written? Where is it written that we should be? But we should become like other countries, third world countries with dictators.
What I'm saying is don't put your trust in a document, because that document has to be upheld by men and women.
So you telling me don't put my trust in the Bible because you telling me which is a document, so I shouldn't put my trust in the Bible because it had to be upheld by men and women? Are you saying the same thing?
The United States Constitution is not the Bible, sir.
Yeah, but it's a document. It's a document.
The United States Constitution was written by flawed individuals.
Well, okay, so people say the same thing about the Bible.
The Bible is inspired by a perfect God. So what I'm saying is if other democracies have fallen in the world, why can't America fall?
Well, America can fall according to the word if they turn their back on God, like other nations have. This country was founded on the principle.
So the long part of what I'm saying is this: is that people sit back and say that'll never happen in America because we got the Constitution and the military will protect the Constitution and this will happen and that'll never happen. I was watching television on January the 6th, 2020. I was watching the television on January 6th, 2021. That actually happened. And I didn't see a great military force come in and stomp that out. And to know that there are people who have an ideology that are in the military, that are in the police forces, that are in the Congress, that are in the judges' seats, that have this same kind of seditious mind. Question becomes, if we want to protect the democracy that we have, then you better be heaven bent about doing absolutely everything that you can do to protect it. Because if any stone is left unturned, then the Constitution will be a great piece of literature that will turn out to be a great piece of fiction. And we will see this country go the way democracies of the past or the republics of the past have fallen and have gone. This is a 200, not even a 300-year-old country in a world that has been here forever, with civilizations that have been here, forever. When you talk about China, thousands of years, and now they got a strong man that they can't get rid of. And they say, well, that could never happen in America. Why not? Why can't it?
Well, to your point about that is, when we say it can never happen, people say, I don't say this, it can happen. I don't agree with it could happen, because if we don't do what we need to do, it will happen. It's the analogy I gave earlier about someone being in the union and say, I don't need to be in the union because they ain't bothering me, they bothering them. That's that same analogy. But they got me, then they came after you. Now you need the union. So it's the same thing. If we don't stand up and do and become a part, and then with solidarity, and regardless of what party we're in, no matter what our skin color, our ethnicity, our sexual persuasion, it doesn't matter. If we don't stand together in unity to fight this force that wants to create this dictatorship, and not go and vote and fight the right to protect the right to vote as a citizen of the United States, then we will be where you said that has happened to other countries. We have to do that, and that's just a fact. Because I'll give you an analogy, or another analogy, and on that. When I was the president of the union, executive director of the union, I told the employees there in Fulton County, I said, listen, they're making the employees, they want to classify all the employees. And we did a demonstration under Bob Fulton, and it didn't happen. Matter of fact, people got classified like they should have been classified, because people were like making little or no money after our demonstration or rally. Then come back years later, the former DA, Paul Howard, wanted the ability to unclassify all people who worked in the court, on the court side. So the state Fulton County delegation got together, and they moved to have all employees who worked in the courts to become unclassified, meaning that they had no job protection, no appeal rights, they could be fired just like that. Then I said to the other employees, we need to stand up, y'all need to stand up, and let's fight and speak against it. This is what they said. They ain't messing with us. That's them over there. They ain't going to do that. That'll never happen. Guess what? A few years later, they voted to unclassify all county workers throughout Fulton County. So all of them now new employees, except you would grandfather in as one of the old employees that have rights to appeal your termination or suspension, right? The only somebody they kept classified were those people that were in public safety, like, the police officers, the sheriffs, deputies, and the marshals. But everybody else were unclassified. So because people did not stand up, because they said they'll never happen in Fulton County. They said that when they were talking about splitting and cities being developed in Fulton County, they said that'll never happen in Fulton County. Guess what? It happened. Santa Spring became a city. Milton became a city. John Creek became a city. South Fulton became a city. These places became cities that were not cities before. And people say that'll never
Brookhaven became
happen.
a city.
Brookhaven became a city. I mean, Stonecrest became a city. We can just begin to name and name and name and name. All these places became cities because people say, "Oh, that'll never happen." You know, up in Mableton now, it's a city, and people saying that ain't gonna happen. Well, because people didn't go vote. Yeah, well, I ain't got to worry about going vote. That ain't gonna happen no way. Yeah, okay, but it happened. Now people complaining about it because they saying it's not good. It's not good. It's not right. But did you go vote when it was time to vote to fight against that? Did you go vote? Did you go and vote? That's the thing. That's the thing. Did you go and vote? That's what we talking about. Did you go and vote? If you didn't go vote, you have no voice. You have no voice. I'll call you back. You have no voice if you didn't vote. If you didn't vote, you don't have a voice. You don't have a say. You don't. Because you didn't what? Vote. So the key to this whole thing, to keep this country with a democracy, that when it's time to vote, I don't care what you're voting for, whether you're voting for council people, for mayors, for commissioners, for state representatives, for state senators, the governor, the lieutenant governor, the DA, the state DA, the Secretary of State, the Agriculture Commissioner, all of these positions that people run for. You need to know who they are, what they stand for, and then you need to go vote. Shannon, you know I haven't missed an election since I was 18 years old when I got the right to vote. I vote in every election because I know that with elections have consequences, and those consequences can hurt you if you don't vote. Voting is important. But Shannon, you know, and that's what we're saying to those of you watching today, is that we're just talking straight talk. We don't always agree how we're going to get there, but the main thing, the bottom line is we have to compel you to vote. Because the point that Shannon makes is a valid point, because if we don't vote, this democracy that we know will be gone away. And to prove that, let me just say this, Shannon, one last thing. Yeah. To prove that, in this last election when Biden won, it was talking about if Trump win, we would lose our democracy. We would lose democracy. Democracy was on trial. That's what everybody was saying. And people went out and voted, and Trump lost, and Biden won. So it's still the same thing happened again, and that's why the big lie that Trump say that the election was stolen from him when everybody know that's not the truth. So Shannon, go ahead on. I'm gonna let you speak.
How many people have stood before you at the altar, googly-eyed and in love, holding hands, can't hardly take their eyes off each other, crying when the bride come down, the groom crying, tears, snotting, all through that, only to find out 6 months later, a year later, 5 years later, they not only are no longer crying, touching, can't take their eyes off each other, snotting, they can't stand each other, and they divorce. And you say, well, how could this love ever? How could it happen? How could this break down? When I was my wife and I, you got the dogs barking over there and everything.
I do. And happy birthday, Cardi. Happy birthday, Cardi.
Happy birthday to my wife, Cardi. Amen. 21 over again. But we were on our honeymoon cruise. And they put six of us. There were 6 of us on one side. Myself and Katya, a white couple, and an older man and I thought was his daughter, and 3 white women. And we're on a cruise, and these were our table mates every night. This was our assigned table. And the 6 of us, me and the white folk and the old man and his daughter, were all recently married. That wasn't his daughter, it was his wife. He had married, he was a sugar daddy, I guess is what they call him. I don't know, I shouldn't say that, but he He was old enough to be her daddy and granddad looked like to me. And these three white women. And they for the first couple of nights, we just, had some regular conversation. And, what did you get for your wedding? And we said we got the white folk, they gave them a farm and a house that was paid for. So they would have no debt. Conti and I got a few $1,000s that we had more bills to pay off for the wedding. So that money went there. And then the other couple, the older man and the woman, they didn't really say much. And about the third night, these other three women, I wanted to know what their story was because we didn't really get it. And they were on their divorce cruise. We were on our honeymoon on this side. Their side, they were on a divorce cruise. And I'll never forget, it was three women, and they had been married. One was married 19 years, one 22 years, and one 38 years. Of course, I asked the one who had been married for 38 years, how did you get divorced after 38 years? Like, what do you know how to do differently after 38 years of everything? How did you just walk after 38 years? And she said, you don't get divorced after 38. She said, you get divorced after 5 years and you suffer the 33. What you don't invest in, what you don't vote in, what you don't participate in, ultimately will leave you. It will go away. It will break down. It might take a while. But where there's smoke, there's fire. And eventually, it'll go. And to those folk that were in your union that felt like, as long as it don't come to me, I don't have to worry about it. There was a German theologian and pastor named Martin Niemöller who had a famous statement. It was, first they came for the socialists. And I wasn't a socialist. So I said nothing. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I was not a trade unionist. And so I said nothing. Then they came for the Jews, and I was not a Jew. So I said nothing. And then they came for me. And there was no one left to speak for me. That's my straight talk on that.
Hey, listen, Shanan just laid it out. I've laid it out. Listen, we've been on this a long time, but want to just say to you, do vote. Do vote. Pay attention to what's going on. Look at the candidates. Look what they're saying. And look more than what they're saying. Look at what they're doing. Well, God bless you. And this ain't been nothing but straight talk. And don't forget to like us. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share, comments, and share. All right? Until next week, stay tuned to Straight Talk with yours truly, Greg Fann and the preacher man.
Congratulations to all the candidates that won, and sorry for all those that didn't win. Some of them we were pulling for, some of them we weren't. But this ain't been nothing but what, Bishop?
Straight Talk.
Want to be a guest on Straight Talk? Email Greg Fann at FANN922@comcast.net or call 404-308-0795. Join us again for another episode of Straight Talk with Shanan Jones and Greg Fann, the preacher.